terminated.
Not without objection.
I ask unanimous consent that at 2:15 p.m. on Tuesday, May 17th, the Majority Leader be recognized to move to proceed calendar number 42S940, the Close Big Oil Tax Loopholes Act, and calendar number 43S953, the Offshore Production and Safety Act. There be up to 4 hours of debate prior to a vote on the motion to proceed to S940, that the vote on the motion to proceed be subject to a 60-vote threshold, that the motion reconsider be considered made and laid on the table with no intervening action or debate. Further, that at 10:30 a.m. on Wednesday, May 18th, the Senate resumed consideration of the motion to proceed to calendar number 43, that there be up to 4 hours of debate prior to a vote on the motion to proceed to the bill, that the vote on the motion to proceed be subject to a 60-vote threshold, that the motion to reconsider be considered made and laid on the table with no intervening action or debate.
Without objection. Majority Leader.
Finally, in addition to what I just asked consent, if a motion to proceed contained in this agreement does not achieve 60 affirmative votes, the motion be withdrawn.
Without objection.
I ask consent that the Senate proceed to the following postal naming bills en bloc. Calendars were 46, 47, 48, which are S349, S655, and HR 793.
Without objection.
I ask unanimous consent that the bills be read a third time passed en bloc. The motion to reconsider be laid upon the table en bloc with no intervening action or debate. Any statements relating to this matter appear in the record at the appropriate place as if given.
Without objection.
I ask consent the Judiciary Committee be discharged from further consideration of S-177.
Clerk will report.
S-Res 177, designating the week of May 15th through May 21st, 2011 as National Public Works Week.
Without objection, the committee is discharged and the Senate proceed.
I ask unanimous consent the resolution be agreed to, the preamble be agreed to, the motion reconsider be laid on the table, there be no intervening action or debate, and any statements relating to this matter be placed in the record at the appropriate place as if read.
Without objection.
I'm told that there's a bill at the desk due for its first reading.
Clerk will read the bill the first time.
H.R. 1231, an act to amend the Outer Continental Shelf Lands Act, and so forth, and for other purposes.
I now ask for a second reading of this piece of legislation in order to place the bill on the calendar under provisions of Rule 14, but I object to my own request.
Objection is heard.
I ask consent the appointments of desk appear separately in the record as if made by the chair.
Without objection.
I ask unanimous consent that when the Senate completes its business day, it adjourn until tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. That's Tuesday, May 17th. Following the prayer and the pledge, proceedings be approved to date. Morning hour be deemed expired. The time for the two leaders will be reserved for use later in the day. But following any leader remarks, the Senate proceed to executive session under the previous order. And that the Senate recess following the roll call vote on confirmation of the Carney nomination until 2:15 p.m. to allow for the weekly caucus meetings. Finally, at 2:15 p.m., the Senate begins consideration of the motion to proceed, calendar number 42S940 under the previous order.
Without objection.
Mr. President, there will be a roll call vote around noon tomorrow on confirmation of the nomination of Susan Carney of Connecticut to be a circuit judge. Additionally, there will be a roll call vote on the motion to invoke cloture on the motion to proceed to S940, the Close Big Oil Tax Loopholes Act. That vote will occur at approximately 6:15 tomorrow night. If there's no further business to come before the Senate, I ask that adjourn under the previous order following the remarks of Senator Merkley.
Without objection.
Mr. President.
Senator from Oregon.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to speak to Senate Bill 940. Tomorrow evening, we're going to have a vote on whether to proceed to debate this bill, which closes oil and gas tax loopholes, thereby raising a significant amount of additional revenue for important projects here in the United States of America. I rise in favor of this cloture motion tomorrow because if we have a successful vote tomorrow evening, we will finally get to debate this issue of whether or not we should continue to have massive tax giveaways to the most profitable companies in America. Gas is at $4. Every American is going to the pump, and they're finding that, once again, the total toll as they fill up their 15-gallon tank in their car is well over $50 and can hit $60. And wow, that is a huge chunk out of my family budget once or twice a week. And it really diminishes what's available to be spent for other core expenses to the families. Indeed, that $4 at the gas pump is raiding Americans' pocketbooks. Now, Americans don't also need to be subsidizing the same highly profitable oil companies through their paychecks, through tax loopholes. Now, make no question, the companies are highly profitable. Oil is now $100 a barrel. And so the companies are able to sell oil that costs no more to produce today than it did a month ago, no more to produce today than it did 3 months ago, when oil was much lower. No more expensive to produce today than a year ago when it was $3 a gallon. So oil companies are experiencing enormous profits. The final quarterly filings by ConocoPhillips, $3 billion profit. This is just quarterly, over 3 months. BP, $7.1 billion in profit. Exxon, $10.7 billion in profit. Now, that $10.7 billion equates to $5 million an hour, every hour, day and night, throughout the week, throughout the weekend, through the entire quarter. $5 million per hour. I think if you have an ounce of common sense, then you'll recognize that if you're making $5 million per hour, you don't need taxpayer subsidies to stay afloat. Now, these subsidies come in many forms. The first is the domestic manufacturing deduction for oil and gas. Now, this allows you to deduct a specified percentage, 6% of your qualified domestic production income. So it's not just you get to deduct expenses, you also get to deduct income as if it was a business expense. Now, wouldn't all of us, when we're filing our taxes, like to deduct our income as an expense and thereby drastically cut our tax bill? Well, it's a sweet deal for big oil. And then we have the ability to expense intangible drilling costs. Now, the basic notion is that when you have equipment that's necessary for the success of a company, then you depreciate that equipment over the life of the equipment. It's equipment that lasts 5 years, you expense it over 5 years. And this is things for the oil industry such as derricks and tanks and pipelines and other physical structures. But this allows the companies to take that deduction of the entire expense immediately, not expense it over the life of the capital, of the entire expense immediately, not expense it over the life of the capital equipment like everyone else. So another sweet deal. The third is a special deduction called the tertiary injection cost deduction, and it comes in the form of a tax credit. And a tax credit is much more valuable than a tax deduction because it's a dollar-for-dollar reduction in the taxes that you owe. And this is for employing enhanced oil recovery methods, methods that are to the benefit of an oil company because they get a lot more oil out of an oil field if they employ wise stewardship of that field. So they have an incentive to do this anyway, but we're giving this huge bonus credit. That is a sweet deal. That's sweet deal number 3. And then you have the dual capacity taxpayer credit. Now, this one you almost can't believe is real, because dollar for dollar, we, the taxpayers in America, reimburse the oil companies for the taxes they pay overseas. Well, quite frankly, it's America subsidizing the foreign taxes. So oil companies just pass through. And it's certainly an incentive for the foreign governments to tax the oil companies extremely heavily because they get it all back from America. It's also proven an incentive for companies to call royalties a foreign income tax so that they get reimbursed for their royalties as well. As proposed, changing this will reduce the deficit by $429 million in fiscal year 2012 and $6.5 billion in fiscal year 2021. That's the fourth sweet deal. And now for the fifth, the percentage depletion deduction. Firms that extract oil or gas are permitted to deduct 15% of the sales to recover their capital investment in oil and gas reserves. They get, again, deduct their sales essentially in a situation as if they're an expense. So that's sweet deal number 5. In that case, often the value of that deduction exceeds the value of the original capital investment by the company. So they get more than compensated. And then number 6, royalty relief for deep water, outer continental shelf production. The Department of Interior must allow companies doing certain types of drilling on the outer continental shelf, deep water drilling and deep wells and shallow water, allows them to not pay royalties on a certain minimum volume of production. Well, royalty relief is a great relief to the oil companies and comes at great cost to the American Treasury. So that's sweet deal number 6. Well, this world in which companies have over the years inserted various provisions, making a very strong case for each one at the time of why this was necessary, that was necessary, amounts to an enormous tax bill. This bill that takes and modifies these provisions for the top 5 companies that have the largest profits would produce about $2 billion in savings from closing these 6 tax loopholes. The question we all need to ask ourselves is that $2 billion per year put to better work than subsidizing companies that are making enormous profits at the pump? One possibility is that $2 billion goes towards decreasing our deficit. A lot of folks on the floor of the Senate talk about how important that is. Well, which is more important, giveaways to the most profitable or reductions in the national deficit? How about creating jobs? You know, we have constantly been trying to get a bill to this floor that takes and produces low-cost loans for energy-saving renovations. It is considered the most powerful job creator, dollar for dollar, of any idea that's been put forward. It's in the form of Homestar, which provides low-cost energy-saving loans to families. And they can pay them back from the savings in energy. So it's a win-win for the family. And it puts people to work in America in a construction industry that's 50% unemployed. Or how about Building Star, that does the same thing on commercial buildings? How about Rural Energy Star, the bill that provides these low-cost loans through rural co-ops so that rural America can benefit from energy savings and can pay back these low-cost loans from the savings on their monthly utility bill? Now, the reason this creates so many jobs is because not only can you not outsource overseas the jobs themselves of the construction work that's done, but almost every single thing that's used in energy-saving economy, from the insulation to the caulk to the double-paned windows, is made here in America. That's why you get so much tremendous leverage. You put American construction industry to work, and you utilize American products. Well, maybe it's more important to create jobs than it is to give away $2 billion a year to the most profitable 5 oil companies in America. Maybe it's important to shore up Medicare. Some of my colleagues have talked about they want to dismantle Medicare. They want to turn it into a situation where it's a voucher program, where the voucher would not increase as medical costs increase, so that slowly Medicare would be wiped out as the ability to provide health care for our seniors. Maybe it's more important to provide a strong Medicare program than it is to give away $2 billion a year to the most profitable 5 oil companies in America. Maybe it's more important to enable our children to get loans to go to college. You know, we are becoming the first generation of adults whose children are getting less education than we are because the cost of tuition has gone up disproportionately to the income of a working family. And the more that tuition goes up in comparison, the more that our students have to wrestle with whether they can afford to go to college. And if they go, whether they need to drop out after the first year in order to go back to work to save money to go to the second year. And when students leave college in that situation, they often don't get back. So maybe it's more important that we proceed to help American students, our children, go to college than to give away $2 billion to the 5 most profitable oil companies in America. Now, tomorrow, we're going to have a vote. And the vote is simply whether this is important enough to debate, whether it's important enough for us to come together as a chamber and say that it matters whether tax loopholes are carved out through special interest lobbying over the past 20 years in order to get very sweet deals when they serve no basic core purpose in the American economy. We need to have that debate. I want to encourage my colleagues across the aisle to vote yes tomorrow, to vote yes on a motion to proceed so we can get onto the bill and have that debate. Now, under the rules that have been established, we need 60 votes. Otherwise, my colleagues across the aisle threatened to filibuster, that they were going to do a silent filibuster blocking the ability of this chamber to have a debate. Well, let me tell you, this needs to be debated. Fiscal responsibility needs to be debated. These tax giveaways need to be debated. The trade-offs between assisting our students and tax giveaways needs to be debated. The trade-off between reducing the deficit and these giveaways needs to be debated. The contrast and comparison between shoring up programs that provide health care to our seniors and these giveaways needs to be debated. So I encourage my colleagues, do not shy from your responsibility to wrestle with difficult challenges. Come and vote yes tomorrow evening on proceeding to debating the giveaways to the 5 most profitable oil companies in America so that we can consider whether those funds will be better serving American citizens by reducing the deficit or by providing core programs. Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent that the time for debate on the motions to proceed to calendar item number 42, S-940, and calendar item number 43, S-953, be equally divided in the usual form.
Without objection.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Under the previous order, the Senate is adjourned until 10 a.m. tomorrow morning.
No legislative business today in the U.S.